Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another edition of Late Night TCG here on the Shuffle Squad's YouTube channel. So, thank you guys for joining us here, as it is indeed, as the name states, late. I am Kyle Koopa Rios, and I am joined by one of my very good friends in the commentary universe, making your Pokemon debut. It is Lyric of Wisdom, aka Miss Emily Forman. Hello, Emily. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. We missed you at locals today. For those who may not know us, we do go to locals together. So this one is kind of funny because, you know, it's two casters hanging out and then just both going home from locals and casting some good old Pokemon TCG online, which I'm super excited to be joining you here tonight, especially once again, like for the first time. We've had some really cool lists going up and down, kind of the Swiss, kind of all over the place, new tech cards everywhere. Koopa, it's going to be a very interesting top cut for sure.
Yeah, so in case the advertisement was enough for you guys, the 151, the latest set in Scarlet and Violet, is legal for tonight's tournament. I did not know how the EU results went. I did not check the results on that, unfortunately. But a lot of the popular cards from the set so far are littered all over the top cut so far, primarily in Mew EX, and kind of the premier card from this set that I feel like a lot of people were really jonesing to get their hands on. You know, Mew is just, I feel like it's going to really, you know, once people start kind of ironing out these deck lists and some more stuff gets released into the format, it really is going to give cards like Arceus a run for its money as one of the best consistency cards in the standard format right now.
Absolutely. Super agree with you. Our local ran 151 tonight, and I think everybody was just taking out a card and trying to find a place that they can put Mew, right? It's a free retreat. It also has a nice ability where you're able to draw until you have 3 cards in the hand using that restart there. So honestly, I can see it being in a lot of decks, but I mean, we got to talk about it, man. Lugia is actually the front runner for our top cut tonight. Tons of great Lugia lists. Balancing both the Mew EX, but also the Cobalion with Justified Laws, the ability to do 30 more damage to your opponent's Dark-type Pokemon, so you can only imagine what that card is specifically going in there for.
Yeah, gee, I wondered. Yeah, it starts with Charizard and ends with EX. Except now there's actually 2 of them you have to worry about in the standard format. But yeah, listen, you know, Dark Terra Charizard has really coming swinging, as you know, people are kind of really starting to see that this card is very, very good. And you know, as somebody that played a Darkness Week deck for the last couple of months, I knew way ahead of time. You know, just the issue that fire type Pokemon have had for the longest time is that it's they're big attacks for very high energy costs. And the fact that Charizard EX can accelerate its own energy to itself and is able to, OHKO, big Pokemon in the format for only 2 energy is huge. And, I think the card is starting to slowly, make its presence known. It was kind of absent from it was a little absent from Barcelona. It was a little absent from Pittsburgh. But in Kerbina this past weekend, it showed up in spades with 5 of the top 8 spots. So I think as we progress into the 151, and as people start to figure out this ironing out which deck list is the optimal one for Charizard EX, I think not only you're going to see more of that card pop up, but you're going to see more of these tech cards, whether it be the Justified Law Cobalion, the Justified Gloves card that allows you to do 30 more damage to Darkness Pokemon. You're going to see a lot more of these weird Darkness techs, in a lot of these decks popping up. So it's either you play Charizard or figure out how to beat it. I feel like at this point.
Definitely, for sure, right? I feel like Miraidon was kind of the spice of the weekend, especially at Pittsburgh. And now that we have Peoria coming up in 2 weeks, right? We're seeing kind of Charizards run everywhere. And one of the things that I think I love most about Charizard EX right now is how everybody is trying to fit it into different styles of decks, right? A lot of people, I'm seeing it played in Lost Box, which, to be quite honest, is one of my favorite ways to see Charizard EX. But also, we have somebody at our local that is currently playing Charizard EX with Mew VMAX, because why not?
Insanity. It's truly it's the Pokemon equivalent of charging your portable charger with a portable charger. It's just like congratulations, you discovered nuclear energy. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting way to play it. I've seen it played with Palkia. Obviously, Last Box is a popular version of it. The Gallade version is the one that's kind of popping up, as of recently, makes you less of a path weak deck, so you don't have to rely on Pidgeot EX. Because most of the time, people are just like, oh yeah, like you're just gonna like why play Buddy Catcher when you can play Pidgeot? I'm just like, well, most of the time you're Pidgeotting for that supporter card anyway. I feel like once you really get everything up and running, to go with. But also let us know at home, guys, if you can hear us okay. Obviously, we are not only just commentating, but we're also running the stream ourselves. So as we are awaiting what comes down here in the top 8, the top cut, let us know if you can hear us, if that background music's too loud, if we're coming in too hot. Let us know what's going on. So as we take a look down here. So Emily, are there any other cards that you're excited to see showcased as 150 in 151, or any other like archetypes you're excited to see tested out?
Definitely want to just go back to your previous point about Pidgeot versus Buddy Catch Gallade, just especially because Path to the Peak meta is so strong right now. Pidgeot a lot of the times is just getting bossed by Miraidon and getting KO'd, or you can't really do that like fancy old quick search stuff when Path is active. So honestly, I mean, while yes, Buddy Catch Gallade, Pidgeot, I see, the advantages of both. Really is just going to come down to the way that the board goes. But yes, 151 has been a real treat. Honestly, I know we didn't really see it at all this evening, but the Alakazam EX with Klefki and Mimikyu is certainly the most interesting deck that I think has popped out of here, because I call it the Get Down, Mr. President, because you just keep sending out your little one prizers at that point, right? You're sending out the Klefki that does have that mischievous lock ability where all of those basics in play just don't have abilities, right? And then you're able to just hit from the bench with Alakazam every single time, right? It's very good. I'm really sad we didn't see it tonight, because I really want to see that deck kind of get fleshed out a little bit more. But keys, definitely, they hurt. It's a little bit of a boo-boo key, if you will.
Yeah, definitely a big boo-boo for sure. I think Alakazam is definitely an interesting Pokemon in its own right. Like, you've never seen a card like this before, ever, in a Pokemon TCG, where you're able to attack from the bench. So it just opens up a whole different can of worms of how you game plan against that. And also, its first attack is really good, too. Mind Jack is not a terrible move. I think it's a 90 plus 20 or 30 for every one of your bench Pokemon out, and so it's it's definitely a very versatile attacker. So even if if Alakazam gets bossed up into the active, it's still very much able to hold its own weight for sure. So that's a fun card I'm looking forward to see. I'm a big fan of the Arbok card that's come out in this set as well. I think that card's cool as heck. I'm excited to see if that pops up at all. Turbo Dark is definitely still a deck archetype that works. But as we kind of are closing out round 14 here, we can kind of shape what our top cut's going to look like. It looks like in our top table is Liu came out on top over Kitnaris Y, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So it is, yeah. So it's a Palkia coming out on top to start. So again, in a tournament full of Lugia tonight, definitely a pleasant surprise. And this is not this is not Chen Pao with Baxcalibur. It is Palkia with Chen Pao. So much more, kind of a lot of this list looks very much like what Cyrus Davis played, what she brought to Worlds and got 9th place with. So you're seeing a heavy count of the Origin Form Palkia as kind of your main attacker, as well as some other consistency item cards to clean things up. And curious who they're going to match up with. It's probably going to be one of the Lugias here, Emily. So as somebody who's played, we've both played several games on both sides. You less with the Palkia, but, as someone who's played a lot of, Chen Pao, since the card came out, what are your thoughts on fighting against Lugia?
I was ride or die for Chen Pao for a really, really long time. I really like how versatile that deck can become. But the problem is that in current meta, once again, to kind of pivot back to the same point, Path to the Peak meta is just so strong. But yeah. I like the way that Chen Pao has kind of evolved into something else. It's a very item-heavy deck now when you really think about it, right? A lot of the times, and especially in Leo's list that we're kind of looking at here, it's very heavy now on cross switcher. Cross switcher POW is kind of the way to go. And honestly, I do like also the origin form Palkia, just because subspace swell, when you have those full benches ready to go, it does swing for a lot. Palkia though is weak, of course, to lightning, and Miraidon is kind of everywhere. To kind of talk about how late night was going this evening in phase 1 Swiss, I mean, there were, I believe, close to 30 Miraidons just in phase 1, and there was only one that got to phase 2, so it's kind of running rampant in your phase 1s, but if you're able to kind of clear through, kind of stay away, it works out really well. But the thing is with Palkia, with Chen Pao, I think it'll kind of evolve as it goes. It's still, once again, a newer archetype. I definitely think there's, you have Blastoise EX now in format that can definitely, help out this deck go a little bit further. But I know for a lot of players now playing Chen Pao, Palkia, whichever way you want to go, it's a very item heavy deck. You're definitely trying to pull into your cross switchers. You're definitely trying to pull into your Lost Vacuum just in case Path comes out. And I also like the supporter count as well in Liu's list too. I mean, from what we can see on our side, 2 Melanie and a Raihan as well. So you always do have the ability to double attach if you're able to not only attach for turn, but also get that supporter attach as well.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the awkward parts about the deck, as someone that's played like a little bit of it the last couple of weeks to just kind of figure out how it works, is that you kind of take advantage for how great of an accelerant agent that Baxcalibur is. You're able to recycle your energies with superior energy retrieval and to spread that out as, liberally as you want to do so. But like you said, this deck, even though it only takes 2 energy, you're really, once you pop that star portal, you're not really getting a lot of energy accelerants, because, there's some turns you're going to want to Iono, some turns you're going to want to use that supporter on boss. But having that extra consistency card in, the Melody, where you get the energy attachment and draw, or you get the Raihan with the energy attachment and, a card of your choice, granted if you got knocked out the turn before, it definitely helps kind of iron things out a little bit, because once the deck, like I said, it's a very meat and potatoes, like, straightforward deck. You'll see the fancy play maybe with the Greninja like once a game, depending on the matchup. I believe there is a canceling clone in this list. If I
Yes, there is.
Yeah, so obviously, that's a play that is online if it's an option to him. But my guess that looking at how the top cut's probably gonna bounce out here, it looks like Liu's probably either gonna go up against either the single strike package Lugia or the colorless version of Lugia that TRT's 101 is rocking right now. So
I think pairings are actually up for top cut, and I see Liu going up against DJ Aline. Alien playing the Mew. So this one's going to be interesting. Just decks that you've been playing for the past couple weeks, Kyle, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, this top cut was very much catered towards me and nobody else. That's definitely an interesting matchup. I definitely think Mew has the firepower to kind of just like swing through, what the Palkia deck has to use. Because the only thing you really have to worry about in that matchup is the Chen Pao. That's really the only thing that can one hit knock you out. All right, so it looks like we're just checking to see who's going to be the stream match or whatever. So looks like Liu is streaming their match in one of our channels. We're just waiting to see when their opponent's going to pop in there. I'm going to take a gander there, see what's going on here. Looks like they might have already started.
About it though, while you're kind of like looking through here. DJ
it looks like this thing might have already started, so we're gonna jump over there. So
yeah, I mean, I gotta talk about it just because I'm seeing it now. DJ is playing 4 Pokemon catcher in this list. That's all right. You're known for hating coin flips. That's a coin flip for you, right there.
Just bear with us for 1 second. So we're just gonna switch over to the other channel real quick. So see you in a second. All right, and we are back now with looks like we're already in progress, as we have the like we said, we're just gonna have Mew going up against Chen Pao and Palkia here.
Yeah, a pretty good supporter or pretty good start, right? Coming out from Liu here. I mean, you got to also talk about it. When it comes to Mew, you have to start really strong. And that's why we're playing the Spirit Tomb on the bench, right? Spirit Tomb with the Fettered Misfortune shuts off all of those V abilities. But that's why we have Elisa Sparkle in that deck to attach the Fusion Strike system so we can still go and keep pulling. So honestly, not a bad start from either player right now. We're going to use the Town Store to grab Choice Belt so we can start thinning this deck, so we can start using that Fusion Strike system. But I gotta say, I'm really liking Lou's board right now. Gonna be the Crematic on the Lost Vacuum. And it is a heads. We love to see that turn 1.
Yeah, when you miss those coin flips early in the game, it really does do a number on you, especially when you see how the bench state, for Liu has set up right now. And then keep in mind, folks, because we're watching on TCG Live, we're only going to be able to see from one perspective here. So, what DJ has in their hand is going to be a complete mystery to us. But we see the Mew get souped up here and the Forest Seal Stone coming down. So, V-Star ability not used yet. We could potentially see what comes off the Fusion Strike draw here. But that's definitely an option to see what's going to come out here. And I mentioned a Pokemon Catcher, definitely a spicy tech in the card in the deck here. That's going to force up the Palkia. And looks like we're going to draw one more time. Curious if you're probably trying to draw into the Mew VMAX here. Save your Forest Seal Stone. But nope, going to just pop the Forest Seal Stone itself to get the VMAX.
Yeah, and honestly, taking out the Palkia is a really good idea, right? I mean, this is not a Chen Pao Palkia list. This is a Palkia Chen Pao list, where Palkia is really your one swinging, and Chen Pao is the one actually going and grabbing the energy as well. Really good play by DJ to throw down the path as well. So that is going to shut off not only Shivery Chill from Chen Pao, where we're able to get those 2 water energies from the deck, but that also shuts off concealed cards. So we're going to potentially see the escape rope. We're thinking about it. Potentially just try and save things out. But honestly, this is a really, really good start from DJ. Everything is really strong. Of course, we have the Iono in hand just in case. And we might end up actually popping it after we use the Ultra Ball here. But I don't know, Koopa. It could really kind of go either way. But I'm liking just grabbing the V-Star and then throwing out the Iono. This is the best possible play.
Yeah, smart stuff here. Obviously, you don't know what your opponent has in hand, but you want to assume that they have the pieces, to maybe pivot in between these Mew VMAXs. They're only really 2 pieces away from doing so. But again, just immediately gonna ditch the path's gonna get immediately ditched here, and that's gonna put Star Portal online. So that's gonna allow the Palkia V-Star to get powered up here. Curious where the rest of the energy is gonna go. It looks like Liu's eyeing up that Chen Pao. Maybe a manual attach return also there. But yeah, we're seeing how that, in a matchup like this where your opponent is really reliant on those abilities, you need that path to the peak to stick. And off the Iono, Leo got everything he needed, and that's going to be a 2-prize KO to answer. So evening things back up.
Yeah, I'm liking also the way that we're just playing super aggressive, right? We have the opportunity, we had it with Switch in hand to go into Chen Pao to potentially get more energy off of it, right? We could have concealed cards now that Lost City is down. But honestly, we're just going to go on ahead and take just the other Mew out of there, right? Nest Ball here, really good idea. So we probably want another Mew to start getting things started. But also, we have that Meloetta in play too. So we could be seeing Elisa's. I believe this list also does play for Fusion Strike Energy, but we are going to see just the boss's orders and the KO quick onto Luminion. This is a really good idea, right? Luminion sometimes is a sitting duck on that bench if you just can't get it out of there.
Yeah, the double-edged sword of Luminion is that while it does allow you to get the supporter card that you need for turn, it is a liability on your bench. Now, in a deck that plays water energy, that's not always the case. You can always attack with Lock Return to return it back into your deck, but that's not necessarily an offensive strategy here. That's usually kind of like a last resort. I don't have much else I can do here, but being able to boss up that Luminion for, again, another free 2 prize cards is going to be huge here. And, outside of the, we'll see what the response is here. There is a boss in hand for Liu, so if they choose to do so, they can immediately answer back with the 2 prize KO. But I think because of how, the way that this matchup goes, whoever gets that first multi-prize knockout tends to be the one that comes out on top. So, we'll see what we're able to do here as the Shivery Shield comes through, thinning out a couple more water energy from the deck.
Yeah, it's hard to say too, right? Because most of your attackers now are going to be those two prizes, but it looks like we are going to be going for potentially a superior energy retrieval, but I believe all of them are gone. So we're just going to take a look at what is in the deck here. Going to be grabbing a Chempao and a Nest Ball, of course, just for the quick thin. Maybe concealed cards? No, we're going to go back in for the Bidoof, of course. Now we'll see concealed cards. Let's see what we can pull off of it. We do also have Cross Switcher in hand, though. Not a terrible idea. We are going to be seeing it as well. Genesect, a very easy choice onto the Palkia. And then we're going to bench another Chempao. We'll get that very easy subspace swell off. And that, Koopa, is why we play Cross Switcher Pow. So, so good.
Yeah, excellent stuff right there from Liu. The answer was strong there. Now, there are no other, there is no option for a one-hit KO on a V Pokemon here, but if there is tablets in hand, there is an option to gust up the Chien-Pao and, knock it out to win the game here. So, or again, this is why you play the Pokemon catcher. It hits the heads on it when it matters. Gonna boss up the Chien-Pao. There you go. There's the power tablet.
Wow. I feel like Mew always just gets what it needs, right? I mean, that's why you save your power tablets, right? And that's why we play Pokemon Catcher. I mean, who needs boss's orders when you have boss's orders light? It's going to be a nice game going on over to DJ for the win here. I do believe in Top Cut. Koopa, we are best of 3, correct?
Correct, yeah. We are going to see a second game between these two here, as we're going to probably just jump right back into it. But, yeah, listen, this matchup definitely shows this matchup is tough. Once you take that first prize KO, the first multi-prize KO, it makes it really, really hard to rebound, without taking like a KO on a VMAX. And that's what makes me VMAX so good in this matchup, is that there isn't really a scenario where you're going to be able to to knock it out on one hit. As strong as a move Subspace Swell is, it's going to max out at 260, like we saw. So, that's nowhere near close to being able to knock out a VMAX. So, if you're DJ, you're definitely gonna try to, again, strike first and early when you can, and everything just kind of came up soup to nuts there. The Spiritomb was a non-factor. It definitely helps when you have the Elisas in your opening hand, and you're able to play around that. As long as you're able to, like you said, Mew's able to get everything Mew wants, because Mew has the nuclear draw engine of Fusion Strike system. So as long as you have access to that, and as long as you're hitting your coin flips, you're chilling in most of these matchups. It feels like.
Very true. All right, see? Game number 2 between both of these fantastic players. We'll see who's going to go first here. If I am playing Chien-Pao Palkia, I definitely want to go first, right? Definitely want to start drawing as fast as possible. Getting the first evolve here is also really important, right? We saw just a little bit earlier, too, how we were able to just KO those Mew Vs and force another setup here. So we shall see, though. The Pokemon Catcher is just way too spicy. Who needs boss's orders when you have an item card that basically does the same thing?
Yeah, like,
tough start.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a start of all time for sure.
Oh no! Is this a touch pass?
It looks like it's.
Oh.
Now, if DJ has the nuts here, there is an option for a one. You can get the turn 1 donk with Meloetta if the tools are there. The Force Heal Stone is definitely an option to do so. Dewey's, I think they might have it.
All right, hold on. Let's have a little faith here that maybe it won't just be. But if it is, it is. Sometimes you just have these games with Pokemon, man.
Yeah, all the okay. They got the Meloetta. If he has the Fusion Strike energy in hand to attach, it's over. Okay, yes, Elisa's.
Wait, why didn't you play down the Meloetta?
Yeah, was that a misplay?
Okay.
Oh wait, no, he doesn't need it. He can just attack with Psychic Leap.
Oh God, I was like, wait, hold on.
Oh yeah, we're chilling. you can also get. Wow, and
all right,
just like that, that is that is going to be the game in wow. There we go, folks. That is a game, set, and a match. Unfortunate stuff there. If you're Liu, you just got one of the most unfortunate starts of all time. Bear with us for 1 second, folks. We're just going to switch back to our commentary screen real quick. So, you're going to... All right, and I'm back on my end, and so is Emily on hers. And yeah, Emily, that was certainly a match of all time for sure.
I felt the pain. I felt the pain, right? Especially because Mew is one of those cards, or Mew is just one of those archetypes of decks where you have to shut off the draw no matter what. We didn't even need Genesect for that. That was just straight attach pass.
Yep.
Not even a nest ball, not even a VIP pass. Just,
not a prayer in sight.
Just,
so
it happens. Like
just all vibes, baby.
It just sucks, right? Because if that's like a game one, right? It's like, all right, I didn't get to play game one. But if you're just like barely losing, especially out to something like the Pokemon Catcher Power Tablet, and then you lose from there, and then you have that start, it just wasn't meant for you today. So
yeah,
it's well, because
like. Yeah, when we're out here like big braining for the Meloetta play, and I'm just like, oh wait, you can also do this because Bidoof only has 60 HP, so it's like that's just a real tough draw the cards for a lack of a better term there. So that's gonna be DJ moving on in top cut. So listen, until Mew rotates out, that card is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I gotta say, there's one card that I didn't mention in my 151 excitement list that we got to talk about. It's the grabber card. I think that actually I'm a big I'm a big fan of that card in Mew. I think there was a list in Japan that back when 151 came out, way back when over there. There's a Future Strike Mew list that went with that card, and I think that card it's got merit. It gives you any card that lets you just kind of yank your opponent's hand away from them. I think that's funny, and I think it's all if you're playing a deck archetype like Mew that has heavy disruption cards in there. If you're not sure if you're going to play the path that turn, you can see if your opponent has the stadium bump in their hand. Any sort of cards that gives you more information that you can play with, I think the better for a deck like Mew. So I think Grabber's a card I was expected to see in this list, and not Pokemon Catcher. And I didn't expect Pokemon Catcher to hit heads twice. So
and it worked. When it works, it works, right?
What a card! Back in the day, you didn't have to flip a coin for that to work. You just had to play it, and it did its thing. So I gotta say, it's definitely spicy. Because let's say you use 2 bosses and you hit 4 heads on each of you're essentially playing with like 8 bosses orders, counting the pal pad if you pal pad it back in. So
that's really true, right? I guess while we wait, because the rest of our matches in Top Cut, I believe, are currently still going, which once again, kind of an unfortunate game number 2. I definitely want to talk a little bit about Peoria meta, and what do you think is going to kind of run rampant there?
Yeah, that's tough. So that's obviously 151 is legal for Peoria. It's the first tournament stateside
that it is legal.
Yeah, so that's very, very exciting for those attending. I gotta say, my thoughts I think are the same now than they were back when I left Pittsburgh. I think it's a Charizard Miraidon world, and we're just trying to see what works there. I think Charizard, especially given how popular it was in Kerbita, that's definitely a huge sign of like this card is definitely here. I think people are either going to play Charizard or maybe try to find the answer to Charizard. So I expect that to be big in popularity. Miraidon continues to grow in popularity. I think that's going to be a fun wrinkle, especially given how that deck did at the Yokohama Championships League, with the Hawlucha and the Zapdos EX. So that could be a fun archetype. I'm sure things like Gardevoir and Lost Box are going to continue to be popular. New Mature is going to continue to be popular, and I think Lugia is going to creep back up there. Lugia was very much better represented than I thought it was going to be at Pittsburgh. And I think if the Colorless Lugia build is real, I think people are going to start playing. I think that's going to continue to be popular. And I think Single Strike is also going to continue to be popular. I think you're going to see both of these archetypes try to kind of fight for the superior deck build here. But I think both are still really, really solid. So if you had to put, a Pokemon Catcher to my head, I definitely say, I definitely say some top 5 combination of like Miraidon, Charizard, and I'd say Lugia just because I'm biased.
A little biased, right? I'm excited to see where Miraidon goes, right? I feel like a lot of people are playing Miraidon in different ways, right? Obviously, you were just talking about the Zapdos and the Hawlucha. there's a lot of fights amongst what is the correct stadiums or the stadium count to be playing with Miraidon. I know Jesse's list for Pittsburgh played so many just like tech cards in there, right? Like, I'm a big fan of playing Drapion in Miraidon. I think a lot of the times when people play against Miraidon, they're really just kind of focusing down the Raichu, when you can really kind of surprise people sometimes with something like Drapion V, especially going in there. I know for a lot of people, they like Beach Court, though, just for that free retreat, or they may play a little bit heavier of a switch count where it comes to 2 switches, 2 ropes, 2 switch cards. I think the list is very flexible right now. I'm a big Squawkabilly hater. Sorry. Everybody else wants to play Squawk. I see the advantages. I'm just, every time I squawk and seize, every time I do that, it doesn't work out in my favor, but for everybody else it does.
You're just not doing it right.
I guess not. I feel like also, people are just starting to even tech in like a Luminion V, just, for that ending game boss or that ending game, Iono, just kind of like that, essentially like a little bit of a help sign, right? Especially with a luminous sign, if you will. So I think it's kind of a really exciting time in TCG, right? I mean, you're getting like the big decks that, were a little bit popular, especially for us, right? Like, you and me were just grinding Miraidon Lugia for months before Hartford, and now we get to play it again. And then you have 151, like we were talking about, Arbok EX, which is going to be like really fun to see if that goes far at Peoria. Pokemon's a really exciting time right now. I also am starting to put together my Lugia list. I played Lugia with Amazing Shot Raikou, and that was a really fun time. 120 to the active and 120 to the bench definitely hurt. So I'm excited to kind of get back into that list as well. But let's take a look at some of our standings as well. So the first half of top 4, we have locked and loaded. That's going to be DJ versus Joe Higashi, which I'm excited to see if we do cast that. We were talking about it, the Lugia, and that's the one with the Cobalion in it,
yes.
Koopa. I know you were really excited about that Cobalion.
Yeah, that's definitely a fun tech card that I'm very excited to see. I've heard people talking rumblings about that, but I was just like, what are you guys talking about, Cobalion and Lugia? You're crazy. But it makes sense. It's a colorless attacker. So in retrospect, if you want to do that 30 with the attack, it does do something. But, Cobalion is strictly there to provide the Justified Law ability, which does, your laser actives do 30 more damage to your opponent's darkness Pokemon. And again, everybody's trying to pull out their stops to try to to combat the really strong dark Pokemon in the meta right now. And not even just that, because, there's definitely plenty of answers. Like, Drapion is weak to fighting, so, the Urshifus, handle that pretty handily. But the fact that Charizard's weak to grass, and there's really a strong grass presence right now, like, I know you're seeing some decks tech in, like, I'd say, like, in Mew's case, like, they're taking, like, the Fusion Strike Excelgor, like, really grasping at the straws to try to find an answer to the decks here. So it's like, it's tough, man. Like, I think, anything you can do to just kind of help correct math, like I said, whether it be with Cobalion or the Justified Gloves, like we mentioned before. So that's, anything you can do to kind of help increase your math odds is huge. Shout out to my Squawk brethren in the chat right now. I know y'all are out there watching. Yeah, bro. Listen. Listen, I'm not kidding when I say I have an entire group chat where me and my friends just communicate with a picture of Squawkabilly's face.
Yeah, that's like your favorite picture.
It is very funny.
I gotta talk about Joe's list too. I mean, playing the Squawkabilly and Lugia, that's something very interesting. How do you feel about that? I mean, Lugia is your current cup of tea, right? So how do you feel about something like Squawk in Lugia?
I think it's a good card. I think the biggest... Look, Lugia you play in 2 phases. Step 1, get Archeops into the discard pile. Step 2, profit. So it's like, anything you can do to kind of help accelerate that process of getting, getting Archeops in the discard pile is huge. And I think the problem that Lugia has is that there isn't a lot of draw in Lugia. Now, granted, obviously, you might open a handful of special energy, and it's special energy you can't get back. So it's like, you'll open a hand, it's like double boss, a V-Star, like, the 1 Archeops, and like two V, like, a V guard energy and a jet energy. It's just like, this is hot garbage. What do I do with this? So, being able to have Squawk at your disposal, granted you might have to flip a coin or two to get there, it still helps reset the hand. And, if you have like, let's say you open with the, double Archeops, you're one of the lucky people on planet Earth that are able to do so. You open a double Archeops, but you have like a nest ball or something like that. It's like, okay, I can nest ball for the Squawk, reset my hand. I at least got the hard part out of the way of getting Archeops out. Now can I avoid the other tangibles in the matchups to help me really play to help me get the Archeops back. So I think Squawk is a great consistency card if you're able to pull it off. Otherwise, like I said, it's just discard fodder, if you can't get it off. So fun card. I think it's fun.
It's a little goofy, a little silly, if you will. Do have to say though, I'm looking at the rest of our matches and like the rest of the list. There's currently a Lost Box Tina versus Lost Box Zard going on, held by Kitniris and Dennis right now. I know for a lot of people that I've talked to, some people have a lot of doubts about Tina. Sometimes Tina does brick, but you can't fight how strong Giratina V-Star is, right? Hitting for 280. And then also with Star Requiem, which is just, sometimes you just get there really early and you're able to take, big knockouts when you can. I think Giratina is still really, really strong. It's just like a lot of decks, though, in the format. Sometimes you just kind of brick.
Yeah, like there's definitely that Lost Box brick that you run into. I've seen it happen a couple times to me, personally playing against Tina the last couple of weeks. Sometimes it's a Abyss Seeking Pass. Can't do much about it. So it's like, if you're able to fight through that opening brick and you're able to get, the Tina V-Star going, that card is insane. It's very clear why it is as popular as it is in the format right now. And it's because being able to swing for 280 is nuts. Just being able to swing for 280 natural off the rip, crazy. You're knocking out basically almost everything that you need to worry about. And, play a couple damage modifiers, you play a belt in there, you play gloves in there, for whatever you might need it to do, and you're chilling. Or you might not even need that because you have, a great wall breaker in Cramorant. You have, at that point in the game, you're probably able to swing with Sableye to help correct your math otherwise. So that deck really has everything it needs. Of course, all that it matters is, are you able to, pilot the deck to where it's able to, to do that for you. So
looking at the Lost Box Charizard list, piloted by Kitniris today, 4 Comfey, 3 Charizard EX, 3 Charmander, 2 Cram, 2 Sableye, Radiant Greninja, Manaphy. So you were just talking about, getting some of that chip damage off with Sableye, with Cram, and it's very interesting to point out that Kit doesn't even play water energy, so even attacking with Radiant Greninja is just like not even, something that they want to do, right? 7 fire energy, 3 psychic, right? So of course we're attaching the Sableye. We don't even care about Greninja there. It's just going to be our tool to keep pulling there. But I mean, 2 Pokegear, and I'm a big fan of 2 Roxanne. I think Roxanne is a spicy card. I think while Iono, yes, is of course dominant and it's definitely polarizing, Roxanne also is a little bit spicy.
Yeah, I feel like Roxanne definitely kind of like fell out of. I feel like people forgot how good of a card Roxanne actually is. Shout out to what Pokemon is that?
It's my Meowscarada. It's just orange.
It's a shiny.
It's Skitty, guys.
It's Skitty. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Continue.
But yeah, I think Roxanne is great. Because as good as a card as Iono is, you don't always want to put yourself back down to a bad hand. So I definitely think Roxanne still has a place in places like Lost Box where it kind of helps you revigorate your hand and keep your opponent at a place where it's bad for them also. So I think the card again any sort of card disruption, any sort of hand disruption is always going to be very welcomed. So and as we're still in a place in a meta where prize cards fly fast, so you can find yourself in Roxanne territory by turn 3 or 4 if you're getting smoked hard enough. But looking at the pairings here, as I did have the standings up here in a second. So Joe Higashi won against Pen Barosox. and then we're just waiting for the results of TRT's 101 and Burns a Hot Pocket.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah. What's your favorite Hot Pocket? Do you have a favorite one?
I feel like the classic, just like pepperoni and cheese. Like, you can't go wrong with the classics. You know what I mean? The ham and cheese is like a little bit crazy.
I'm a fan of like the weird like artisan lunch ones. Like I like the Philly cheesesteak Hot Pockets. They're fire, man.
I haven't had a Hot Pocket, I think, quite literally in years.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't had a Hot Pocket in a minute. So that 7-Eleven's looking real tempting right now, though. So
the Wawa down the street for me. Both matches though in the bottom half of our top cut are currently 1-1 right now. So we're taking the long route tonight. It's late night for a reason. It's gonna be late. Good thing you took off work tomorrow. This was a good call for this evening.
It's true. Yeah. So we got colorless Lugia going up against Rapid Strike Urshifu. I think this matchup is pretty good for Lugia if you're able to set up properly. It's tough, definitely for sure. You can definitely find yourself with some stalemates if you're not careful. You definitely want to try to avoid the yoga loops where you can. Obviously, if basically the way that I look at the matchup, if you're able to get Radiant, if you're able to get your Radiance Arena down, you're probably okay because you're just gonna be able to heal that damage off every turn. This list looks pretty standard, par for course, 2 Remoraids, 2 Octilla Reeds. It's really nothing super crazy to write home about. The Echoing Horde's a little spicy. You don't usually see that played in this deck, but it makes sense. You can search it out with Octillery, so it's a very good card to play around with.
Yeah, true. That deck's very interesting to me because it's something that I recently started playing against more just because, of course, Cyrus, with her win at NAIC, I think popularized the deck a lot more on kind of like that local level. And sometimes, I gotta also talk about it. Playing the Cheryl in there is very, very spicy too. The VMAXs, they're big, they're bulky. So I'm excited to see how Cheryl being utilized too. It's an interesting tech card. It definitely can help. VMAXs are 3 prizes at the end of the day. It's a lot of prizes to go down, especially when you're playing VMAXs kind of everywhere in the list.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I wanted to talk about this last week because I know there's a couple of Rapid Strikes, that just kind of bubbled out last week. But this deck is very much, renaissance, like you said, since NAIC and since the format kind of changed over. Like, this deck was kind of came and went, when it first came out. But it's definitely very much seen a revolution recently. And I think a lot of that has to do is that, like, playing fighting is like kind of warranted now. Like, there is, lightning weak Pokemon you have to, there are lightning Pokemon flying around that you kind of have to worry about. Arceus is still very much a thing you have to combat still. So, listen, being able to swing for 120 and put that anywhere, not bad. Being a big bulky VMAX like you are is huge as well. Now, granted, like, you kind of get stomped by decks like Mew. You get your matchup against Gardevoir might not be like the best because, again, you're a psychic weak Pokemon that gives up 3 prize cards. It ain't great. So, but also you're starting to see like I like the Giacomo variants that play a little bit more control. So, it does not look like they're playing. I don't believe they're playing the Giacomo variant tonight.
No.
No. Let's say it's just the standard straightforward build. So.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to keep it classy. You know what I mean? Stick to what works. Dennis will be winning the Lost Box battle that we see. So it will be Tina that does move forward into our top 4 tonight for late night 138. And now we just see who is stronger, Lugia Archeops or the burnt Hot Pocket on, of course, the Inteleon Urshifu VMAX. So unfortunate, man. I can only imagine. Like,
what's stronger, a pair of your prehistoric birds or a burnt breakfast food?
Are Hot Pockets breakfast?
It can be. You don't eat. I've eaten a Hot Pocket for breakfast. They have like breakfast
ones. I've never eaten a Hot Pocket for breakfast. Let us know in chat if you have eaten a Hot Pocket for breakfast. I don't think I ever have, but I love breakfast food too much. I'm a big.
They have breakfast targeted Hot Pockets for sure. They
like
do exist.
What?
They have like ham and egg ones. Like.
Do they?
I refuse
Oh
to
my
be
god, they
gaslit
have
here.
sausage, egg, and cheese Hot Pockets?
Yeah, man, you're missing out.
I yes, I am. I gotta go out and buy some Hot Pockets.
No. I know what I'm getting you for your birthday. So
Oh wow, thank you. I don't think I've only had the pepperoni ones.
I've had the pepperoni ones for breakfast. So, 'cause I'm a insane person.
I just like making eggs in the morning. I'm a coffee person. Anybody else in chat? Raise your hand if you're a coffee person.
Shout out to coffee.
If my coffee is not made right in the morning, it's over for the day. It's absolutely just curtains for the day.
Yeah, I'm a big coffee enjoyer myself, so I feel like you kind of have to be when you get to a certain point of being an adult. So
Come on, man, don't remind us. We're casting Pokemon cards at the end of the day. We're young at heart, right?
something like that.
It's gonna be a very colorful top 8 too, but it will be TRTs that does get in with the Lugia and the Archeops once again. This one playing the we didn't even talk about the Dunsparce that we saw last format when Lugia was getting popular with the ability of Mysterious Nest, where the colorless Pokemon don't have weaknesses. Definitely could be a card coming back, especially with Miraidon running as rampant as it is. It's actually a really good idea to throw Dunsparce back in there. I know the Dunsparce, we were talking about it a little bit earlier before we went live, is definitely also a little bit spicy. We got to talk about it. I believe TRT's Lugia list is the only one that is playing Mew EX in there. Let me just check. Yeah, so we're going to be seeing Mew EX at least in TRT's list.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. TRT is playing the colorless version of Lugia, so I think that's definitely the build that Mew fits into best because it takes colorless attack. And again, like I mentioned before, how Lugia struggles in a lot of areas, and you kind of really picks up in a lot of the areas that Lugia has always struggled in, where it provides a draw. Sometimes Lugia hands you're kind of at the bare minimum of 1 or 2 cards, so at least allows you to draw an extra card, refresh your hand to 3. It's a free pivot, which Lugia doesn't normally have, but it's always good to have that in a deck where you can just promote something, not have to worry about how you're going to get it out of there later, and then you're able to to play around that, and being able to copy an attack. Like you said, Miraidon is definitely a thing that's around there. So, being able to take a revenge KO on a Miraidon by just copying its own attack by knocking it out, that's cool. Obviously, being able to copy the likes of like we mentioned, I think Lost Teen is going to be a popular one. I think copying, I think being able to copy Moonlight Shuriken is going to be huge.
Oh, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, it's there's going to be a lot. So it's definitely going to really change the way that certain decks play with their support Pokemon, because having that looming threat of just you can genome hack me at any time and steal my attacks. It definitely is an interesting. It's a wrinkle for sure that I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how that card fares going forward. So I'm excited. I think it's sick. So.
Gonna be a funky one. Like I said, tonight at locals, everybody was just taking one card out and just throwing in a Mew and seeing how it would go, right? I think for Miraidon, just because that's the list I'm on right now, I was like, you know what? It's a free retreater. Let me just take out my Zeraora single prizer and then just kind of work with it there. Never even got to kind of get to it. Why swing with... I was just playing a lot of weaker decks this evening, so I was like, I don't really need to swing with Mew. I'd rather just swing hard, swing fast with Raikou. But we do have our top 4. 2 Lugias, a Tina, and a Mew. So honestly, all these decks that we were talking about, so excited for, Keys and Alakazam, nowhere to be found.
Nope. Not even on the screen. I will say though, I do, talking about the Dunsparce in the room, I feel like that's definitely been a hot topic of conversation amongst Lugia players. Do you tech back in the Dunsparce? I feel like it's still really not worth it, because you already have so much bench space you have to worry about. So it's just like, do you really want to commit a bench to like, Luminion to get, let's say you're going second, to commit to the Luminion to get Burnett, 2 Archeops, a Dunsparce, and then your second Lugia, depending on what the matchup is. Like, I feel like it's definitely one of those things where, does Lugia start playing Path? Something crazy like that? Maybe. It's I've seen it done before. I think it was a deck that won juniors for Worlds or seniors. They played the colorless Lugia that played Path to the Peak in it. So it's definitely very much a thing for sure. So as we are waiting to see if one of these matches are gonna stream, one of these guys are gonna stream for us. So we are patiently waiting to see what the outcome of that is.
I would vouch for more Path. I think Path and Lugia would be fine, right? I mean, Primal Turbo is not really affected by Path at all, and once you get the Summoning Star off, you don't really need your abilities with Lugia especially anymore. I mean, if you are playing Mew EX, you do shut off Mew's restart, where you can't draw to 3, so you are going to have to accept the brick if it's kind of bricked there. But honestly, Path, not a bad idea lately. I've been a big Path fan. Path is the reason why I switched decks literally 2 weeks before Pittsburgh. I was just so tired of playing against Path. I hated it so much, and I was like, you know what? I'll play with Path. And I wouldn't be surprised if people just found ways to incorporate Path a lot more in. So honestly, we'll see where exactly it goes. Once again, we are just waiting for a match here. Would love to cast one, as we've been filling now for what? 30 minutes? We're so sick. How match has been going, by the way. DJ and Joe have been playing, and Joe did take game 1.
Yeah, all right. So again, that's definitely a curious match for sure. I think the way that the deck's stacked out here, I think it's gonna be fine. Yveltal is a great card against Mew in this matchup, because you're taking 3 prize cards for just one Pokemon. And Tyranitar is, once you get Tyranitar souped up at that point, it's just like, it's kind of GG's at that point, as long as you can avoid, granted, if you can play around the Path, that's definitely a matchup where if Path sticks, it becomes a lot harder for you. But it looks like that might not necessarily be an issue here for Joe, so we'll see how that shakes down. Definitely not impossible for DJ either, though. Mew's still able to, attack, and as long as Mew's able to avoid, getting swamped by Yveltal, it's definitely very doable. Just Path, Disrupt, and Pray at that point. That's all you can really do.
It's true. I gotta talk about it. 2 Mesa, 2 Collapse Stadium. And there's a very heavy energy count in this one. 4 single strikes, 3 gift, 3 double turbo, 2 V-Guard, and 2 jet. I'm a big fan of jet energy and everything. We've been seeing a lot of jet energy in Lost Box, of course, because you're able to accelerate the Comfy just straight up. You don't have to burn an item card to do so, and then you have essentially the free retreat to just get rid of it and then promote your other Comfy. But I'm liking how we're seeing it more as like a gust to not have to burn like I said, an item card, or if we're not playing Beach Court, for example, which does allow for basic Pokemons to retreat for 1 energy less. Jet energy is a little bit spicy, and I'm liking it in Lugia too. I mean, it is a special energy. It can be attached.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like you said, in decks that don't play a lot of Switch, I think it definitely has a home, and I think in Lugia it makes perfect sense. Like, I've seen it, I've done it myself where, I retreat out of the active, for like a double colorless, and then I reattach the jet energy just to put myself back up into the active so I can correct my Tempest Dive math. So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, again, it's a very reliable card. I think looking at like Andrew Hedrick's list, that was like, I think like the prime energy like count is the right energy layout, like even regardless of like what type of Lugia you play. I think playing the 1 jet energy is just really good. Just like, it's you can search for it with Archeops. It helps. It makes it for 1 less switch card for you to play, and yeah, special energy is great, man. I think as long as Archeops exists and there's special energy to be sent into the fray, I think Lugia is going to continue to find a home anywhere.
Yeah, I definitely think Lugia had a little bit of a dip, but now it's just ever so strong. More special energies coming out. You can play Lugia in tons of different ways, right? We're talking about the single strike variant. I mean, you also have, of course, the colorless, like we were talking about as well. And there's a lot of single prizer attackers in Lugia colorless too. I mean, you also have that very popular unfazed fat Snorlax, and especially now with therapeutic energy, it doesn't even go back to sleep after it does attack for that 160.
Yeah, the attackers that Lugia gets to play with, like, it's funny just because, like, you know, you look at what you had, you know, pre-rotation when Silver, you know, when we played through Silver Tempest, where it says you have Amazing Rare Raikou, you know, you have, you know, that's what a fun card that was. You know, yeah, you have, yeah, the Amazing Rare Yveltal, you know, Stoutland, you know, Stoutland V, Greedent V Max, like these like big Pokemon that can like take advantage of like, you know, the powerful colorless energy. And like you kind of look at what Lugia was left with after effect, and everyone was just like, single strike. So it's like, you know, that kind of added another wrinkle to the deck where it's like, okay, you know, Lugia's never been able to bring its energy back from the discard pile. That kind of adds an interesting wrinkle. So now, you know, you're losing access. You know, you're playing with Yveltal, just not the Yveltal that you're used to, or you know, you're playing things like Stonjourner. You know, Pokemon like Stonjourner that were originally just like, you know, binder fodder when it came out became essential in your Lugia list because it just hits like a truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you know, it's definitely seeing how Lugia's been able to retool has always been very interesting. And you know, I think what made it so hard to play now is that, like, you know, there's actually like a lightning deck in the format that actually like can compete with it. So, you know, if you're not able, again, I've seen it happen to me. I've seen it happen to people around me where you know, you don't get that second Lugia up against Miraidon, and you're basically just like, you know, you're a goner. So, but I think, you know, Lugia's have retooled, and it's just like, you know, just bench two Lugia forehead is as
always got a bench too.
As easy as it sounds. But I think, you know, as long as it's as these big fighting Pokemon, you know, or like that can swing into the lightning, you know, the fighting weak Pokemon, it's going to continue to be good. As long as Archeops exists, this deck is never going to be bad. So,
yeah,
and we're at least going to be hanging on.
Rotate for a while, right?
Not unless they rotate the F block with magically with the E block. We're going to at least be playing another year with Lugia.
Yeah, very true, very true. Still waiting on a stream. We'll get there. I have no idea what's taking so long, but
I think we're just sort of the people at home. We're at the mercy of the people that want to stream their matches. So,
fair.
You know, I think we're still currently in game one of one of these other matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it looks like, assuming it looks like Dennis and TRT are still in the process of what's going on here.
I'm just looking at the card list for 151. What a beautiful set. I think a beautiful set for us, you know. I don't know. Were you a Gen 1er? You a Gen 1er at heart?
Kinda. Like, I mean, it's a great set for old people, for sure. You know, if you like grew up on Red and Blue. My first Pokemon game was actually Gold and Silver. So that's the game that I played first. So technically I'm a Gen 2er. I didn't go back to play like the original Red and Blue until like way later in my life.
Right.
But I've always grown up around Pokemon. You know, that the original 151 Pokemon are iconic. You know, obviously, you know, we're of the same age group. We kind of grew up in the height of Pokemania in the 90s. You know, I remember every day at 4 o'clock, that's when Pokemon came on after school. So, you know, So I think the set looks great. I think I'm very nostalgic towards Gen 1 for a bunch of reasons. So, you know, seeing a bunch of my favorite characters get card art is cool. Like Giovanni rules, big fan. Erica, big fan. I think that card's high key kind of spicy too. You know,
Erica's invitation.
Yeah, Erica's invitation to your demise because she just forces you to promote a Pokemon you don't want to promote in your hand.
Very interesting card too. It's like half a boss. Everything's like boss light, right? I mean, like you also have something like Rhyme, right? Where your opponent has to choose the opponent or the Pokemon that goes forward. Then you get to draw 3 off of it. We're seeing more of like these supporters that are kind of like a boss, kind of like an escape rope, kind of mushed together. Or, you know, we could go back to the first match of the night. We could see 4 Pokemon catchers and hope for the best.
Yeah, it's just it's very strange how like the gusting the gusting meta is very interesting. Like, cause like you know, there is in Silver Tempest they introduced Serena, which like was kind of like a half boss for V Pokemon. But, like, that card's fallen way out of favor because V Pokemon are, like, less and less being played now the deeper we get into Scarlet and Violet stuff. But, like, do you see, like, the stuff like the Rhyme and... Yeah. But that's even going to make things like Cross Switch even more important, you know, or Pokemon Catcher if you feel like being frisky. Yeah, that's just going to make things that much harder for you. So... It's curious, you know. As long again, bosses is never not going to be around, so I'm I can't say I'm shocked. I can't say that that card's ever not going to be the optimal play.
We shall see. We shall see. I want to see more of the Pokemon Catcher. I'm not gonna lie. that was kind of heat. It is kind of heat. It's very spicy. Very, very, very spicy. We'll see though. TRT and Dennis still in game 1. We can imagine that set is going to go automatically straight to time because it is, I believe... Oh, wait, no. I was about to say it's the Lost Box mirror, but it's not. It's a Lugia Lost Box. Once again with that Tina. And then Joe is currently up 1-0 on DJ with the Swing Hard, Go Fast T-Tar. And
yeah, it looks like that just went to that's going to game 3. It looks like that DJ just evened it up 1-1. So
we're cool stuff, man. Just like the rest of y'all.
Yeah, we are patiently awaiting the outcome. It's just like the rest of you guys are. So, yeah, again, curious. Lost Box matches in general like definitely take a while. Like Lost Box Tina can definitely take its time if you like don't, because like what your big thing against Lugia is that like you have to like swing on the Tina and you know once it becomes like while it's still like a baby Tina. And truthfully, like the issue, like if talking colorless versus single strike Lugia, like I can't believe I haven't brought this up yet. Like the biggest difference in this matchup is that like if you're TRTs, you kind of have a slightly better Lost Box matchup because you're playing like the single prizers like Snorlax that don't have to worry about like Sableye spread. But the issue you run into is that, specifically in Lost Tina, this becomes a problem. You don't have that big swinging Pokemon to help you get that knockout. You don't have a Tyranitar. You don't have Tyranitar. You don't have Yveltal or Urshifu. Your only closer in that deck is Weirdeer, and you know Weirdeer is a big commitment because of its ability called Frontier Road. You have to promote yourself from the bench to the active, and then you take all the energy on the board. And I think it's like 80 plus 40 or something. Like it's some like insane number that stacks. But it's just one of those things where like that's really your only closer, and it's a one of, and it's a big energy commitment. So you usually kind of save that for your last turn of the game if you can do it, and otherwise you're really not swinging for like the big numbers that you want to. Whereas Lost Tina can hit all the numbers that it needs.
Yeah, right. Once again, we're talking about how bulky Tina is at the end of the day, right? 280 on that. Swings for 280. Also has the Star Requiem. I feel like a lot of the times, if you're able to get into that comfy spot with Lost Box, you are able to kind of... You can play a little bit slower, right? I think there's a lot of slow play talk going around everywhere, especially with Lost Box, right? There's a lot of decisions to be made. You just have to be a little bit smart about what you're kind of pitching away off of a flower selecting or a Colress. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the times, I know for us last week at our Cup, I did play against a Lost Box Tina player who decided to fill the bench. And then I had boss's orders in hand, and I was like, man, let me just, get this Tina out of here. Gotta be kind of weary of, like, where your Tinas are placed, because, sometimes you may want to bench, too. It's just like Lugia. Sometimes you really just gotta, like, get it going. But then you have Cramorant and Sableye, like we were kind of, like, talking about a little bit earlier to help out the cause.
Yeah, and also just for those at home, Psy Shield Bash is the Weirdeer attack. It does 40 times each energy attached, so... You can hit the big numbers if you need to. It's just a huge energy commitment. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
So, plus like having to go from like the bench to the active, it's a lot. Like you don't want to have to waste an energy. You want to hope that you have the copy of Jet Energy in your hand and you can make it work that way. So, curious is it's tough, man. As much as people want to try to write off Lost Box, as it was like TRTs won the first game there. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna take an executive decision. We're gonna take a quick break, real quick, guys. We're gonna be back in a. Oh, it looks like. No, never mind. I thought somebody won the game. I just rolled my eyes over. So we're gonna take a quick break, real quick. We're gonna freshen up. I'm gonna grab grab a drink or two. We will be right back in just a second with some more late night. So hang tight. We'll be back in just a second.
Let's do it.
All right, gamers, we are back. Welcome back to late night here, and we're gonna just actually transition right back over to our game because it looks like we're going to get started real soon here. So hang with us for 1 second. All right, we are back here, folks. We are awaiting the finals match here. It is going to be DJ going up against TRTs. It is Mew versus colorless Lugia.
Yes, very excited for this one, of course. So it's important to note that we don't have Yveltal to kind of back up on here as well. We do have the Weirdier V we were talking about a little bit earlier, and I don't think we will be seeing Dunsparce come into play, but of course, big Drapion V waiting in the wings. I know, I believe when you play in late night, you are able to see the deck list of your opponent as well.
It is open
so
deck list.
That's going to be a big kind of nod to DJ here to play a little bit more reserved and a little bit more carefully, but we are going to be jumping right into the match. And honestly, Kyle, what's going to come down to here is the start. Are we going to be able to find VIP pass on DJ's side? Are we able to get 2 Archeops into the discard turn 1? for the other side, it's going to be very, very down to our starts for sure.
Yeah, if you are playing on DJ side, you want to make sure that you can, hopefully survive a turn, get path down, stop the summoning star from happening at all costs, because it's a completely different game otherwise. And if you are, if you're TRTs, you're just trying to play you're trying to get the Archeops out. You're basically racing to see who can, you're basically racing to the Archeops at this point. Like, once Archeops is out and able to do its thing, it's tough. Kind of a little bit of an awkward hand here for TRTs. We're gonna be watching from their perspective. You're gonna get the first supporter here, so do you risk the Iona? Do you risk the Luminion to get the Burnett out? Do you Iona to maybe get a fresh hand? See what else you get. But right here, we're going to see DJ get started here. Whoa!
Double.
Yeah, double VIP pass. Yeah, my man's got Taylor Swift tickets. So, great start to the game. You truly can't ask for a better start than that, in most cases.
I mean, you got 3 Genesects, and now you can be a little bit more kind of wishful with whatever you want here. I know this is the Meloetta variant, but honestly, grabbing 2 Mew is the way that we want to go here, too. And what a great start, right? Obviously, Genesect stuck in the active, at least for the moment here, but honestly, wouldn't it be a bad idea to just kind of wait and hold? But the problem is now you got 5 Fusion Strike Pokemon on the field, and you got another VIP
A third Taylor Swift ticket?
You're certainly just built different at this point. So now we can use the first Fusion Strike system to at least draw 2. I was about to say, we had 5 in hand and we had just 5 Pokemon, but now we can even still get things started. We have the Switch card as well, so we are going to be sending Mew up, and we can draw 3 more cards with the Fusion Strike system. Honestly, Koopa, it is looking great right now for DJ.
Yeah, obviously, one of the biggest worries you have in playing Mew is that you try to avoid the Mew brick. Now, you got an extra Pokemon here to set down, so it looks like Snorlax is going to hit the bench. You're probably going to... I was going to say maybe attach the Gift Energy to the Lugia to get yourself some draw. That is how you help draw cards in this deck. And the Collapse Stadium could be an option here as well, to help minimize that bench size, force DJ to think about a Pokemon to play down. So it looks like we're going to see the smaller bench size. Obviously, that's going to hinder the draw engine here for Mew. But also, considering we only saw 1 Fusion Strike system and a hold in the hand, that leads me to believe that if you're TRTs, you are not messing around with what is in your opponent's hand right now. So you're kind of willing, by putting up the Snorlax, you're willing to go for the Iono Disruption here, see what you got for fresh 6 cards.
There is the Burnett, and there is Archeops as well. So I'm going to use that Capturing Aroma and flip the tails too. So it is just going to have to be a basic, but honestly, not a bad consolation prize. Now that you have 2 Lugia ready to go, thinking about the benching the Mew, but instead, no, we are just going to go on ahead and pass. And now we have to figure out if DJ is going to have the bump. They will with that town store, so we're able to go on ahead and grab a tool here. And once again, the Pokemon catcher, it is going to flip heads. We'll be bringing up one of the Lugia, and like you talked about, Koopa, in the last turn, attaching that gift energy could have allowed for a couple more draws. Now, granted, if we lose 1 Lugia here, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but we're just gonna play Pokemon catcher again. Not gonna be able to find it.
Yeah, not going to get the tails there, but I think you'll live to see that. Going to play a power tablet here. So now we have the bench set up here. We're going to see a draw of 5, most likely. Or it looks like we're going to do the town store first. Maybe to thin out a Forest Sealstone from the deck. Yep, exactly as we're going to see here. And still hasn't burnt it yet. So if you're DJ, you're probably looking to draw into what you need here. Obviously being, being the VMAX and the energy to attach for turn. Curious to go for the Forest Sealstone here. I'm actually wondering if they play most of the town store variants of you usually play 1 choice belt. So, that could have been a good way to get ahead in the prize race here. Why else boss up the Snorlax, to get yourself off of an odd prize trade. But looks like we're just going to draw some more cards here. Looks like they might not have it, as that's the second of 2 Genesects used here. They're just going to go for the Iono themselves. That's huge. So that's going to say goodbye to the Burnett and the Archeops. It's going to go right to the bottom of the deck.
So
So
see it too.
yeah, tough stuff. So you hope maybe off the top deck, now that you have the extra bench space, maybe now you have that information. You have you have the Burnett in the deck. Do you maybe Ultra Ball here for you probably can Ultra Ball here for the Luminion, and then open up the floodgates here. That's probably the option. If your DJ or since your T or T's are probably going to go for.
Yeah, I'm still stuck though. Okay, I'm going to be attaching to the Meloetta. Did already support her this turn as well, so we're not going to be able to go on ahead and swing here. This might just be the pass, if anything. Could retreat into a Genesect, but honestly, we have 3 Mew out. So with 3 Mew out, honestly, anything goes here, but just attaching another Forest Sealstone will be the pass. So we'll see. There's the gift energy. So like you said, Kyle, I am going to assume that we are going to be going for the Luminion here. And then we are going to be singing Summoning Star. Have 2 Ultra Balls in hand as well, though. So here we go. We're going to choose that Luminion. Potentially the Weird Deer. We saw that for a quick second. Checking the hand, though.
Yeah, it could also get scared of the Ultra Ball, too. Like I said, Weird Deer you want to save for your...
choice here.
Yeah, or the Iono. It's like I think you can really get rid of either of those 2 to be fine. Yep, Luminion's going to be the choice here. You just check and see if you have access to how many Archeops you have access to. Having the knowledge of the Burnett's huge. That's usually one of them in these Lugia decks. So that's just going to take the... I'm sorry, how many... Has he just played 4 of those, or am I losing my mind here?
Yes, that was the 4 Burnett list that we were like, whoa, that's kind of crazy.
That is a lot.
You play 4 Burnett's and you still weren't even able to draw into it either. You actually had to Luminion for it. Fortunate, but still, we are going to be seeing the first Primal Turbo come on to the Lugia in the active right now. Get that easy attach with the gift energy as well. So if DJ is able to knock out this Lugia V-Star too next turn, that's going to be a nice 5 hand going on over to TNT here, but gets 2 prize cards there as well, and we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, that was a huge turn there. Especially considering the fact that you have a Mew and Genesect, both are under 200 HP, so you can, swing in with a double turbo energy. So you only really need 1 Archeops and an attachment for turn to attack here. And also the V-Guard energy is going to make that number even harder for you to hit here for a KO. You're going to have to hit the 310 mark, which if you can commit you get all of your your Fusion Strike energy on board plus a power tablet, power to you. But it's definitely tough stuff here. Going for the boss here into the small Lugia with the V-Guard energy on it. So definitely a 250, a much easier number for you to hit here, than otherwise. So we'll see if DJ has the stuff here to get it going. You do have the energy attachment for turn, but you're going to need 2 damage modifiers. To kick this off. Actually, 3 damage. 3 damage modifiers, I think.
No, I mean 2 tablets. Sometimes Mew just has it. Like, I think what makes this deck very magical is that sometimes you just got it.
2, yeah. Because 2, yep. There you go.
What a nice way to fight back, though, if you are DJ here. Honestly, it's a very, very slow start. And honestly, now, if you are DJ, you have to think about that. You've already pitched, I believe, 3 power tablets this game. So now we have the Iono in hand as well, but we will just be using potentially the Nest Ball to get something started here. But we could be seeing the Mew EX for the first time. We do have the Primal Turbo attach as well, where we could be seeing that Cross Fusion Strike as well. Doing a quick deck check, we still have a ton of energy to work with as well. Don't necessarily need to start swinging with that Snorlax just yet either. So there's a lot of choices. There's a lot of paths we can actually go down. But I do believe we are going to be pulling that Mew EX and potentially just throwing it on our bench. But yeah, that's the 3 Burnett's we were talking about.
Yeah, definitely an interesting choice for sure. I mean, you see why I want to do that. Obviously, Burnett is the ultimate consistency card. You're just gonna obviously thin out the hand here, without having to go for, uh, without needing to go for anything there for the Nest Ball. Get the Ultra Ball for the Luminion. Most likely gonna go for a boss here, potentially, or Serena does.
Yeah, Serena's a good idea too. Ooh, there's the boss. Yeah, might as well, right? Take that free KO on a Genesect. There's still a ton of energy that we can also work with as well. So on to Luminion.
Yeah, it's gonna make your opponent think twice about bossing up your Luminion because no, that's smart stuff because you obviously bossing up the Luminion is gonna look spicy here for DJ to get back into the swing of things, but you're gonna replenish your opponent's hand up to 6. That could potentially be the boss's orders that you need. But we do see the Drapion hit the floor here, so even if there is... this is exactly the scenario you wanted to play into if you're TRTs. There isn't a Fusion Strike Pokemon on the board for a free attack here, so even if you get, a Luminion gusted up for an attack, you simply just promote a Pokemon promote the other one with the energy on it, or, a Pokemon with energy on it, and you're just retreating the Drapion. So, this game is all but won for TRTs. If anything, I think DJ's just kind of playing it out, see if there's anything that they can do, but this is an expert, a real textbook game played here, so...
Gotta see, though. Gotta be able to get an... Oh, there's the boss onto the Luminion. Okay. Just the pass? Oh, I thought there was just the pass. I saw the background change for a quick second. I was like, wait, hold on. There's no way. But once again, you're going back down to that super important decision of whether you want to give your opponent more cards. Now, granted, we know on our side of the screen that there's a nice little Drapion just waiting nice and pretty here. So we'll see if the Cramomatic is going to go on ahead and turn up heads. It will, so allow for DJ to go on ahead and select any card from the deck that they want here. And I mean, we still, I believe, have another Fusion Strike system, at least for another 3 more now as we attach Choice Belt to Meloetta. But honestly, Koopa, what are we looking for here?
Well, if you're going for the Choice Belt play here, I didn't see there's a supporter played for turn yet. This could be in Lisa's coming up possibly.
No, this was a boss. They already bossed Luminion
okay.
into the active, yeah.
Okay, yeah, then you're probably just going for the Luminion KO, and you're going to switch to a single prizer and force your opponent to get the, you're going to hope that they don't draw into the boss off of the gift energy here, off the 4 cards. They don't get it, so... unless you top deck the boss here, then the Drapion is going to be a wasted play here. You're only going to be taking a single prize card.
Let's see. Okay. Well, it is going to be the Collapse Stadium here as well. Ooh. Okay. Pumpkaboo. Thinking about it. We'll put down the Pumpkin Pit. Oh,
yeah, that's really. I mean, you're probably just doing this just to get rid of the Luminion. To limit. You want to get as many of your 2 prizers that are liabilities off the field as you can. So It looks like we're probably going to thin out the hand here. Going to get an evolution here. So either an Archeops or a Lugia V-Star off the capturing Aroma. So this is definitely a decent position here for DJ. What was looking like kind of a lost game was very expertly played into. It's amazing what you can do when you hit the heads. On the Cramomatics. So now you're looking at the barrel of a Meloetta that can swing for 170, and you're only giving up a single prize if you pay for it with your life here.
Still have Primal Turbo for turn as well onto the Snorlax, who I feel like has been taking a nap on the bench literally this entire game.
Yeah, he's chilling.
That was the first time we've seen energy attached to the Snorlax all day, but we're going to throw the Therapeutic on here. Honestly, I'm loving the way that TRT is playing right now. Just saying, you know what, let me just go on ahead. They just have to get boss if they want to be able to finish this out, and we'll use Snorlax with that unfazed fat, but thanks to... therapeutic energy, there's no coin flip needed. We could just, stay awake.
Yeah, and the beauty of what you look for here, you see in the discard pile there, you use 3 power tablets were used up, so there's no feasible way to get a one-hit knockout on the Lugia V-Star here, so DJ has all but guaranteed that they're not going to lose the game on this turn. So, again, you're going to hope that they get the ball. You're gonna most likely see a scenario where the Snorlax is knocked out here, and then that's when you go for your free Drapion play because Drapion will be able to knock out any of the Pokemon left on in the active right now. Ooh, but the Echoing Horn, that's huge!
Ooh,
Oh, that's gonna bring up.
he set
Oh,
the
that's it.
boss onto it.
Oh.
The Pokemon catcher.
He's gotta hit heads.
What?
Oh!
You hate to see it. Is there another one though? We could Genesect for one more card. Get
We'll
another
see.
one.
We'll see one more card. What's it gonna be? But this also stalls out the Drapion play once again.
True.
Gonna play the singular power tablet just to kind of hopefully draw one more card with the Genesect. Get what you need here. My gosh, this has been a real barn burner of a game so far.
We did also V-Star already with that Forest Sealstone too. So honestly, not a lot of outs here, but this the Snorlax could be staying here. There's the Silene too. Tails.
Oh!
Tails.
You couldn't have asked for a worse outcome on the Silene there. That card, you needed to hit heads at least once to bring what you want back into the fray. We have another Pokemon catcher, and it hits! The second catcher connects. That's going to bring up to Luminion and Cross Fusion Strike for the knockout, and somehow through the depths of defeat, DJ is able to come out on top there over TRTs. Wow. Incredible stuff.
That was amazing game one, right? We saw Drapion in that hand, ready to go, but you gotta talk about DJ starting off so strong with triple Battle VIP pass in the hand, turn one. Honestly, this is such good stuff. The funniest part, man, is the Pokemon catcher and being able to just try and go for it. The Silene as well is a little bit spicy too. So we'll see exactly how game number 2 is going to go. Now, Kyle, it's my first time here. Is this a best of 5 or a best of 3?
It's a best of 3 still. Curious. It's really funny because like you used to see things like Echoing Horn and Silene in like the double turbo variants of Mew back when like that was like the real standard way to play the deck. So very, very curious to see those pop up in the Fusion Strike build. And I guess, when you're playing 4 Pokemon catchers, you're really able to kind of open up the floodgates a bit of like what you're able to play. I'm curious what cards kind of hit the cutting room floor off the top of my head. So we'll see how this game 2 goes here. Again, it was a really, really strong start for TRTs last time. We'll see how this shakes out here. Not a great opening hand here. You have the Dunsparce. You do have the Burnett to guarantee your Arceus on the discard pile, but do you really want to get rid of an energy here? I guess getting rid of a Jet Energy is fine. You do play a 4 of those. But there we go. Gonna bench your singular Lugia. Maybe you attach double turbo to Mew, or he's thinking
with
about
free
it.
retreat up to the Mew, right? We're thinking about it, right? I feel like we attach DTE to... Oh, okay. We're posing the threat here, which I don't necessarily hate. But honestly, with the free retreater of Mew EX, every Mew card is apparently a free retreater when you get up to those 2 prize level. Definitely not the worst idea. Now, all we have to do, Koopa, is hold this hand, right? We have the V-Star, we have the Burnett. We also have Collapse Stadium as well, just in case for next turn. Things can look really good, and especially with these being the only 3 cards in your hand, not necessarily a bad draw here. But the thing is, we know from DJ and how DJ has been playing all day, there's a Battle VIP pass there, so we're just doing a very, very quick deck check. But oh man, I'm sure there's another one just following right after.
Yeah, you're definitely sitting on this hand right now if you're TRTs and you're just like, please don't disrupt, like please don't Iono me, obviously like you're looking at the small hand, it's like you kinda have to play poker with your opponent, like, man, like I don't know, like there's really not as much going on here, but getting the tails on the Cramomatic, definitely not going to do any favors for you. The Pokemon catcher coming out, there's really no, that's going to flip heads, but there's really no danger right now unless, he just happens to have the gas in his hands to knock out a Lugia turn 1.
Okay. Still, we can Fusion Strike System for one more card here. I know the Cramomatic did unfortunately fail, and that second VIP pass is not going to come here unless it's just the top deck of the card, or maybe another Genesect that we can pull one more. But we are going to be using the Forest Sealstone, which does allow for us to grab any card out of the deck that we want. And we can only imagine what that card is going to be. It is, of course, the Battle VIP Pass, a card that you can only play on your first turn. That does allow for you to get 2 more basic Pokemon from your bench, or from your deck, excuse me, straight onto the bench. It's going to be another Genesect, and I do believe that is Meloetta.
Yeah, that's Meloetta on the bench there. And if you're DJ, you kind of feel bad about that. Like, you really want to avoid going for. Oh, I think he actually has the knockout here if he has a damage modifier. Yeah, he's gonna be able to free pivot into the Meloetta here, and if he has the choice belt or a tablet, that's a knocked out Lugia. And oh, there we go. So that's going to be a turn 1 knockout on Lugia V, and your lone Lugia V, and your hand is garbage right now. So, great stuff there. So, again, you kind of hate to go for the Battle VIP Pass, turn 1 with your Forest Sealstone. You really want to try to save that card for something else. But, you know, if you're kind of capitalizing on your opponent's bad hand size, it's like, well, okay. I guess I'm just going to have to hold on to that.
So tough here too. I mean, the top deck was not kind, so now you only have a lone attach, and not even the restart here either. Not actually going to go on ahead and draw the extra card. I don't think there was any way that was going to stop it, and unfortunately for
that draw though.
Yeah, the draw was crazy, but we're unable to work with it. And DJ has just made quick work of the opponents that we've seen. And I do believe that does make DJ your late night 138 champion tonight, playing the Mew VMAX El Clasico.
Yep, and stay tuned. We're going to have our thoughts on that in just 1 second. All right, now we're back here in the caster's nest here, folks, and yeah, listen, kind of some real funny stuff happening in those games. We get a really, the both matches we saw of DJ tonight, we see a really strong first game, really long first game, really drawn out first game. It's a real, slugfest, and then you just see, him hit the nuts on the second. On the second game, you looked at that hand there for TRTs, and it's just like, okay, you have the V-Star in hand, you have the lone Lugia on the field, like, you're kind of, all you're really banking on is your opponent to not have what they need to get the job done. And like I said, you don't usually want to rip the VIP pass turn 1 like that if you have the Forest Sealstone, if you can prevent it. But considering at that point, it's like, wait, I'm just going to go for it. If you have the means to go for it, by all means, shoot. So excellent stuff right there from DJ. They're going to be your late night champione.
Gotta say, the MVP of the list is gotta be the Pokemon catcher. We're flipping coins and we're flipping them right. And honestly, that was the whole thing, right? We were able to Pokemon catcher Lugia up front, and then we were able to find everything that we need. There's so many times where Mew just finds what we need because we're able to draw so much in the deck. I mean, we got to talk about it too. I mean, Silene, also the Echoing Horn as well. This is a very item and like wonky supporter heavy list, and just worked out for them really, really well. I mean, no Deoxys in this list. I know Oricorio is coming back up in popularity for some Mew lists. This is just straight Mew, but there were so many like random things in this list. The Echoing Horn, the Pokemon catcher, the Silene, just very interesting time. But once again, congratulations to DJ for your 138 late night champion.
Yeah, some very interesting card choices for sure. Definitely kind of peering into some old cards that Mew used to play with, with the Echoing Horn and the Silene. Kind of taking the both variants of, what made, Control Mew with Judge Path so good, and then kind of combining it with the ability to swing for big numbers with Meloetta. if you're able to do so. So I'm here for it, man. Happy New Year's. I love Mew, so that's fun stuff. And like it's I definitely I applaud someone who wakes up in the morning, chooses chaos, and is like, what if I flipped more coins in this deck?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, folks, that is going to be it for us tonight. So thank you for hanging with us through the late nights, especially if you're on the East Coast like we are. Shout outs to everyone watching at home. Shout outs to the Shuffle Squad. Shout outs to everyone involved. And yeah, we will be shout outs to you, Emily, for I'm sorry I had to interrupt your dinner to fill in last second tonight. But
Okay.
for those who are wondering at home, Vic is feeling good, feeling much better, I'm sure. So sending some well wishes to him, and I'm sure he'll be back ready to bring the heat next week. But until then, folks, everybody have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. All right, we're done.